Hey guys, Slynk here with another tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you what is, in my opinion, the most accurate, quickest and easiest way to sidechain anything in your project to the kicks and snares. So in this example, I've got some kicks and snares in a drum rack. The kick is in the C1 cell, the snare is in the C#1 cell, and then I've got some audio channels here just playing some percussion type stuff, and an audio channel down here playing a bass line. So let's take a listen. So we're peaking at 7 dB, which is really not a good thing. And we have a few options here. We can turn everything down, but then we'll be losing some of the power of the kick and snare. So an obvious choice is to sidechain compress the breaks group and the bass line to the kick and snare. And you might be thinking, yeah, that's easy. I can do that. Just drag a compressor on there, select the sidechain button. By the way, if you don't see that, just click the arrow. And then choose the kick inside of the drum rack and turn the threshold down. Just like that. And you can see that we're compressing the breaks group to the kick. But what if we want a tighter release time? Maybe that release time is not working for us. We want it to be tighter. So let's turn the release time down. Yeah, we've got a problem. Even at 1 millisecond of release, the actual sidechain compression is not releasing up to its original volume quickly enough for us. We want a more accurate solution. The reason this is happening is because the actual kick is about 150 milliseconds long. And so we can't really get a release time that's shorter than that just by using a sidechain triggered by that kick. So we're going to set up a separate drum rack with some kicks and snare triggers that we can then use to trigger sidechain compressors like this in the rest of our project. So what we're going to do is just drag in an analog, and we'll set this to noise, turn the color all the way up, turn the volume all the way up, and we'll set the amplitude to 0.5 dB. And that's going to give us negative 0.12 dB of a noise burst, a really loud noise burst, basically. So we'll resample a little bit of that. Awesome. We're done with this analog channel. And actually, we'll create another MIDI channel and get this drum rack ready to go here. Let's call this channel Sidechain, and we'll give it a sidechain color, kind of a background color. And then zooming in on this noise, we're just going to take a little chunk, Control J, a little piece of that, so it's in its own clip. And we'll drag that onto C1. And remember, we have our kick on C1 and our snare on C#1, and that's going to be important later. So we'll just turn warping off, and we'll see how short of a sound we can get here. That's pretty short. Let's turn this down like that. Okay, let's check. 0.26. Can we maybe make that a little longer? I suppose we could turn this up. There we go, 0.06, almost exactly on 0 dB. Cool, let's rename this kick trigger, and we'll copy paste this to here and call this snare trigger. Awesome. So now that we've done that, we can now create some racks, which we will be able to copy and paste all around our project to quickly sidechain things. So let's take a compressor, and my default compressor settings are already kind of set up. I've got my ratio set to infinity. My look ahead is at 10, which is the max you can set, and my knee is at 0. So we'll turn sidechain on. We're going to select the we're going to select the sidechain channel, and then our kick trigger pre-effects, and we'll name this kick, just so we remember. And let's go to this view because it's a bit nicer. We'll duplicate that, rename this one snare, and we'll choose the snare pre-effects. And we can put that in a group and then map a few macros to the things that we use most often. So let's map the threshold here, and I'm going to do the snare ones on the bottom row here. So let's go macro 5, and we'll go attack macro 2. And there we go. And we'll just color these so we kind of remember what the deal is. These are for kicks. These controls down here are for snares. And we'll call this Live 10 Sidechain. Awesome. We'll set up some default values here. Let's go 25 milliseconds on that release time. And I think we'll keep the attack time as short as possible for the most accurate sidechaining. And threshold can be negative infinity if we like, or if we want to dial back the sidechain compression amount, we can just bring this up. But this is great. Now we have a nice clean little module here to quickly adjust kick and snare sidechain parameters. So flipping back to our project, let's sidechain compress our breaks channel to the kicks and snares. We'll drag this over here. I'm holding control so it'll copy, and you can see we don't need that one anymore. Our routing has been preserved, which is really convenient. Now all we need to do is set up some MIDI notes for this sidechain triggers drum rack. And since we've got the kick trigger and the snare trigger in the same cells that our kick and snare are in, we can just copy and paste this up to here. That's so convenient. And now let's check out the sidechain compression in action. So look at that. With a 25 millisecond release time, it's much sharper. Just for comparison, let's put this back in. Set that to the kick. Let's set a 25 millisecond release time on this one. You can see how sloppy that is and how much more accurate this technique is because we're using a short burst of noise, a little click, as a trigger. Awesome. But what I've found with experience is using the Live 10 compression, or what was formerly known as the Live 9 compressor, as a sidechain compressor, you'll actually find that you'll get some clicks on bass lines or lower frequencies. So what I like to do is use the Live 8 compressor. And if you don't have the Live 8 compressor, as you can see, I can only select the Live 10 compressor. You can actually go to the Ableton website and download the Live 8 Legacy library. And within that library will be the Live 8 compressor, which is awesome. I just have mine in my user library here. So Live 8 compressor. Let's drag one up here. See the upgrade button. We've got some different options on the side here, FF1, FF2. Let's keep it on FF1. You can see these options here are different. Peak, RMS, expand. This is going to really improve the amount of click that you get on those sharp sidechain attack times. So we'll just do the same thing. We'll set this up to sidechain from the kick pre-effects. We'll call this kick, duplicate it, call this snare, set this up on the snare pre-effects, throw them in a group, and we can just map things like before. And again, I've got my knee set to 0 and my look ahead at 10. That's pretty important. And let's go with a different color scheme, just so we don't get confused. All right, and let's set up some default values here. And we can call this Live 8 Sidechain. Perfect. Now let's copy and paste this onto our baseline channel here. And let's take a look at the difference between the Live 8 and the Live 9. So let's have a listen. I find the Live 8 compressor has like a different kind of curve. So I like to use a combination of Live 8 and Live 9 for different things. For bass lines and deep sounds, I always use the Live 8. There's no clicks. Let's take a listen with the Live 10 and we'll take a look at what the curve looks like. Remember, we've got the same release times, 25 milliseconds on both. Are you hearing those clicks? It clicks every time it goes over that section there. Let's flip back to the Live 8. No clicks, dude. Pretty sweet. And look at the difference in the curves. This one seems to be a little bit more gradual on the way up, and this one is much sharper. It really shoots straight up. So I keep that in mind when I'm using the Live 10 versus the Live 8. Cool. And the beauty of all this is we can just delete this MIDI clip and drag this whole sidechain channel into our, let me get some space here. Drag this sidechain channel straight into our user library for use at any time. Booyah. We've got these triggers set up, ready to go. We just need a MIDI clip and we just got to paste these guys wherever we want them. So that's how I like to sidechain. It's super accurate. And just to finish this little tutorial up, let's see how we're doing on the levels. That is a lot more manageable. 1.5 dB. Let's turn these sidechains off again. 6.5. So with a little bit of tweaking, we might want to turn the bass line down slightly, maybe turn this breaks percussion group down slightly. We can get a level that's just under 0. And I don't know about you, but I can barely tell the difference between if it's being sidechained or not. The kicks and snares really fill that gap, and the release time is so short that it's almost transparent. So cool. I hope this video helped you out, and get out there and actually sidechain your project. Peace.